So I wanted to speak for a brief minute or two on our insulation system we have for our floor. We'll also be using it on our walls. What it's called is InSoFast. See if the camera can pick that up. It is a 2-inch insulation foam with embedded plastic studs in it. So these studs go all the way through the panel. I actually have a scrap here. So they are embedded into the actual, into the foam, and they provide the attachment method. So to attach the InSoFast to the floor, the panels have, on the back side of the stud, they have a corrugated plastic ridge. And you just put construction adhesive along this, and because it has some pretty aggressive corrugations, it grabs the glue and holds it pretty tight. We had this stuck down for like an hour or two, and this was a piece that I had to remove to do some welding. So it came right off, but once it's fully glued, and if you have glue all along this ridge, or along the stud, you're actually going to pull the paint off the container or off the floor. They also use it in shipping containers, that's why I said that. The yield strength of the plastic is higher than the base material you normally glue to. It'll pull concrete off the walls before the stud doesn't fail. You can screw to this. What we like to use are the cement board screws. They have a really aggressive threading to them. The only thing you have to be careful of is stripping out. So you just get it tight and that's it. But that's with any material you use. What we are using are all scrap pieces. My family who owns the company, they had a whole bunch of Menards store displays to make, so we got these leftover panels. So that's why they're an odd shape. They normally are 4 foot long and 2 foot high. And the really cool thing about them too, besides the studs, right on the back side, you have a drainage plane. So your floor can actually breathe. And if you have condensation or you spill something on your floor, it's not sandwiched in there and will stay there for a long time. It has enough surface area in the drainage plane to allow it to breathe. Along with that, you can see this square notch running through the panel. That is a wiring chase. So if you have full-size panels, you'll get the wiring chases running through. I think you have 2 of them per panel that run the short way, and then on the top side, the tongue and groove, actually, sorry, this is not going to focus. Tongue and groove also does the same thing. So there's a wiring chase every 2 foot on center 2 going through the panel. So it is very convenient for wiring. These panels were first made for insulating basements. You can glue it right to a cement wall, and then you have a nice, easy way to attach your sheetrock or drywall to. But it has morphed to a whole lot of different options. The big thing right now is shipping containers. My parents have a panel with the corrugations of the shipping container molded into it. So it fits on the container and has the same studs. So you can glue right to it and glue it right to the container, and then you can screw right to it. So it's way simpler than either furring stuff out with wood and then filling it in with insulation and then trying to get into the cavities. So that's another cool use for this. But yeah, these panels are incredibly nice to work with, very easy. And I'll show you in a little bit, but because these are all scrap pieces and I have a lot of them available to me, I can cut out these studs from the panel just with a snap-off blade utility knife, so one of these. So you can cut the panel very easily, The studs, you can cut them with a hand saw, circular saw. Emily, when she was doing this yesterday, was using a jigsaw, which is just easier for her. But they're just plastic, so you can cut through them. You actually can, I don't have an example with me, but you can screw or nail. You can put as many screws as you want right next to each other, like 5 or 6 screws right in the same spot, and you won't crack the stud. It's very, very strong in that way. You can nail down with a nail gun to it with it too. So yeah, very versatile. And they will make it great. It's way better than gluing strips of wood on the floor and then filling it in with insulation. That is much more tedious, and then you also have that thermal bridge where the stud is, where it's not nearly as high of an R value. Don't quote me, but I think these are like R8.5 or R10, somewhere in there. There's actually a 2.5 inch panel too that has a drainage plane on the front side also, but this gives a nice floor on a bus. We put 1/2 inch plywood on top. It's not super rigid. It has a little bit of give to it, so it's not, when you have a hardwood floor, you're not feeling like you're walking on cement or metal. It has just a little bit of sponge to it, which is nice. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Probably not on a bus, but if you're doing this at a house, a good automatic adhesive gun will save your hands. Pumping those manual caulk guns is incredibly challenging when you do it for a few hours. And like even on this bus, we are going through almost a case of what it's called. It's PL Premium construction adhesive. Can't really see it through there, but that's the one we prefer to use because it dries using, I think the catalyst is water, so it doesn't have the off-gassing or fumes. It's just the humidity in the air that will dry the glue. But yeah, I'm not the expert on all that. It's really useful though. This panel in the system, I think it's probably superior to putting all the wood furring strips down and then putting foam in between them. It's definitely a lot faster. So like my wife, if we didn't have our I had to start and stop because I had to do some welding. Of course you can't weld near the foam because it'll melt, but yeah, if you could just go from front to the back of the bus, you could have it done easily half a day and have the plywood on top too. So it's very nice. And I don't know if I got to it, but if you cut out these studs, you can put them in spots where you need to fasten. So like at the edge of the stairs, you'll see it. I'll put an extra stud just glued down, and it gives me a place to fasten wherever I need to. And it's as simple as running your knife on either side and just snapping this off and then just glue it down. So it's a lot easier than getting out the circular saw, cutting all your wood and gluing that down and screwing it down, and then yeah. So it's a really good system. I encourage you to check it out. Now I'll take you just I'll show what I just got done on the floor of the bus here and the stairs. And yeah, we'll wrap this up. So what you see I did here is I wanted to have attachment points all around the edge. So I cut these panels to fit, where I just cut the foam right at the edge of the stud. So I was able to fit the stud right near the edge, and then I just I had some scrap pieces that I just cut the studs off of and put them around the edge. So I have a spot to fasten wherever I need to, and then I had one in the field there. And then I just put some spray foam in the gaps that I had. Doing these angle things are a challenge, but I wasn't shy with the PL Premium construction adhesive. I probably put about 1/3 of a tube in here, because I actually glued in the field of the panel too. That'll keep the vibration down and squeak down. but I'm not too concerned about that. But here we did the same thing. We put a stud right along the edge of the stairs, so we had something to screw down to. And this is where I pulled that sample stud out. I needed to weld this nosing on the stairs. So yeah, the only spot where we won't have the InSoFast on the floor is actually at the driver console. That's just a little bit too tall for the InSoFast. So yeah, it's a great product. It makes a really nice finished floor. The actual polystyrene is dense enough that you can walk on it. Even a big guy like me, you can walk on it in your boots and not damage it too much, but it just has a little bit of give that makes it nice when you're walking on it with bare feet. If you ever walked on a vinyl floor that's on like cement or rigidly attached to the floor, it's not as comfortable. This will be fairly comfortable in bare feet. So yeah, that's where we're at. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.